I've always heard that sugarcane is the most profitable crop in Farming Simulator 19. But is it? We're going to take a look using precision farming. Welcome back, everybody. Driver 53 here, and oh man, do we have an awesome video here today. It's going to be about precision farming, but we're going to look at the profitability of each crop in each soil type. So it's going to be a lot of info. We're going to put some spreadsheets at the end of it to show you all the data, but I want to go ahead and get in and explain to you how I set this test up. So the first thing I want to do is jump over to the map. So here is the map, and as you can see, I've got fields 4, 5, 7, and 8, and there's a purple rectangle inside a gray area. So what I've done is created little fields within each one of these bigger fields that matches up to a soil type, and they're all exactly the same size. Okay, so if we come over here, you can see that I've got loam, sandy loam, silty clay, and loamy sand, all 4 of them, and we'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see, but if I go back and forth, you can see that each one of these areas is within a soil type 100%. Okay, so each one of these rectangles represents 1 acre, exactly 1 acre, not a hectare, but an actual acre. Okay, and what we've done, if I come back over to here, you can see that my pH levels, if I toggle down here, you can see that the whole area is exactly where it should be. Now, the reason it looks like it's 2 different colors is because I've already done a harvest, and I did that so that I could get my nitrogen levels to be 0. So exactly 0 in every one of these rectangles. Now, I know that they look a little bit different when they're turned sideways or long ways, but they are exactly the same amount of size. I use the tool, the landscaping tool, to make these all the same. I went through and tested everything out. They're all exactly 1 acre. And the way I got that is when I come over here to statistics, you can see that like worked hectares is 3.98 acres. So I can't make it exactly 1.000000. So it's really like 0.99 something. So it's as close as I can get to 1 acre and still have a rectangle. So they're all exactly the same now. On that. So, yeah, as you can see, nitrogen is all good, or not nitrogen, but pH value is good. We've thrown lime back on here, so it's at absolutely perfect for each soil type. And what we're gonna do, I've got a direct drill seeder over here, and I have one for each field. So we're not going to be taking and running it a whole bunch of different times. It's only going to do the work for that one field. But we've got the direct drill here, and it's got liquid nitrogen in it. So what I'm going to do is put seeds in the ground and nitrogen at the exact same time. And what that's going to let me do is spend less time in the field to make my test go a little bit faster. But I'm not going to be worrying about how long the worker takes to do the activity. I'm only worried about the volume of seeds versus the seeds and the nitrogen, okay, the fertilizer. We're doing it all at one shot so that I don't have to wait around and do multiple shots. We're not using manure, anything like that. Liquid nitrogen is the cheapest option. We already proved that in one of my other videos. So that's the way we're going to go. We're going to run through every crop that we can. Poplars is going to be a tricky one. So we may not do poplars. I don't think poplars are very popular anyway. So we'll probably not do that, but sugarcane, probably going to do that. Potatoes, sugar beets, corn. We're actually going to look at corn a couple different ways. We're going to be looking at corn in a traditional harvest, and then we're actually going to turn it into silage also. And we're going to do the same thing with grass. We're going to do grass, we're going to do hay, and then we're going to come back and also do grass as silage bales. So we're going to sell all that. And in the how we're going to be able to get these the data, okay, is if I come back over to the map and I'm here in precision farming and I click on this with my R3, you can see here that my economic analysis will actually tell me my seeds how much I use and what the value of those seeds are. So that's the number that we're going to take and incorporate into this data. All right, so I'm going to take my total cost of my seeds. I'm going to take the total cost of my liquid fertilizer, and we're going to add those together, obviously. And that's going to be a cost associated with the crop. Now, this economic analysis is going to factor in other things also. It's going to factor in my worker, my fuel, and my vehicle maintenance. I'm going to take those out. And the reason is because everyone's going to use a different piece of equipment to do this, right? Some people may, not everyone's going to have the same size fields, right? So on big fields, you're going to use big equipment. Small fields, you're going to use small stuff. So you could go anywhere from like a 3 meter all the way up to like a 36 meter, right? On seeding or anything that we do. Harvesting, some people want to use the small stuff. Other people want to use the 13.7 meter stuff. So I'm not going to factor in those. We're only looking at the volume of the cost of the seeds and the cost of the fertilizer as negatives that we're going to take away. And by setting these fields up as 1 acre, it's going to give us exactly how much per acre. So I'm not going to have to do any math to be able to figure that. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to determine which crop is the most profitable in each soil type. Another thing that we're going to do for the wheat, barley, and oats is we're going to collect the straw. And we're going to use a collecting wagon right here. And based on the spreadsheet that I showed a couple days ago, we're going to use the average and the best prices on that to determine what straw price is going to be. And we're actually going to do that with all of the crops. So everything from wheat all the way to potatoes to sugarcane, silage, everything that we're going to look at is going to use that sheet. Now I know that in the economic analysis it says what the value is, but those are very, very low prices. And I really want to use something that's a lot more actual. So that spreadsheet that we did the video that we did the other day, it had 10 days worth of data. So if you haven't checked it out yet, run over there, check that one out. And that's what we're going to be using. Let's go and fire up here on the wheat, and I'll be back once we have all the data and we'll start looking at the spreadsheets. So we just finished up with all the harvesting, and there's some really, really interesting data here. So let's just go ahead and jump into the first soil type, and that's going to be loamy sand. All right, so the way this is set up, across the left-hand side, you can see all the different crops that we have. That's the first column. The second column is going to be your soil type, and then the next one is going to be the amount of seeds used, and that is in liters. The next column is going to be the cost of those seeds. And then we have fertilizer used, that's in liters, and then fertilizer cost. Next is going to be harvest yield, and that's actually where we got the amount of harvest. And this is going to be taken from the economic analysis, because some of these, the totals were larger than the harvester that I had to use. So I'm referring back to that economic analysis over on the left-hand side of the screen whenever you hit R3, and the volume, that's what you're seeing here in this column. The next one is going to be straw, and it's only going to be for 3 crops, oats, wheat, and barley, but that's how much we got there also whenever we use the collecting wagon. Now that is taken directly out of the wagon. We don't actually see that in the economic analysis. The next column you see, this is average crop price. Now this is going to be the price that I have listed on the video that I did the other day. So as you can see, for like cotton, $22.34. That's the average price over 40 checkpoints over 10 days, right? So 4 points a day, and we did it for 10 days. So 40 points, $2,234. That is the average price for those 10 days. The next one is average straw price. That's taken from there also. And then the next one is your average crop income. And that is, I got that by multiplying the harvest yield, we always do 1,000 liters, by the average crop price. So for the very top one, corn silage, we had basically 48.61 times 291. That gives me 14,149. Then straw income is the next column over, same thing. And then the average total profit was actually, you take your average crop income and subtract the seed cost and the fertilizer cost. Now remember, I'm not looking at how much the workers cost or how much fuel they used, or their wages, right, or the repair of the vehicles. Those are also included in economic analysis. We are not looking at that. We are only looking at the cost of the seed and the volume and the sale price of that harvest. And as you can see for the top one, it's 13,824. So in loamy sand, you're going to make a little bit over $2,000 more per acre if you do corn silage than anything else. I've always been told that sugarcane is the most profitable crop, and it may have been in base game, but in sandy loam, or loamy sand, I'm sorry, with the amount of cost that your seed is $4,354 on sugarcane, and it's compared to $145 for corn. It's drastically different. I mean, that's two complete ends of the spectrum there. And, you know, that in and of itself is what is causing sugarcane to not be profitable anymore. Now, we all know that there are ways that you can save that. And also, if you save sugarcane and don't use seeds, then that's free to you. But it's taking away from your income. All right. So let's just say, you know, on sugarcane, right? You need 4,837 to be able to produce 76. So really, your net would be about 72,000, right? So it would be even lower per acre if you wanted to do that, because you can't include that in profit because you got it from the last time, right? So if you look all the way down here, another really interesting thing that I find, soybeans. It's nowhere near the top of this list. And I always thought that soybeans was the best one that you could do quickly and easily because it was paid the most. And it does. It's like the second highest crop right behind cotton. Cotton pays $22.34, soybeans pays $13.86. But you don't get a very big yield off of it. You can see on this, you're only making 3,049 liters. And when you multiply that out and include all your other costs, you're only going to make $4,118 per acre, right? But if you look at oats, wheat, and barley, they're all above it because you have your straw. I mean, you're going to make about $1,000 more an acre. Now, is that $1,000 worth you baling and transporting and everything like that? Maybe. Some people may not. If you don't, you know, you're going to be under quite a bit that amount, right, that you have right there. So if you're running a typical farm and you have the straw and things, or you're, you know, maybe using it for other things, then soybeans may still be. But I looked at total crop, everything, right? So it's a byproduct that you can sell. So it's absolutely worth it. Now, the really interesting thing about this is all on average prices, okay? If I show you this next slide here, this is going to be the highest price that we ever saw. And here we go, right here. So corn silage is still at the very top, but it's not by as much. Sugarcane actually comes up a little bit, right? And soybeans is still a really good price. But look at sunflowers. Sunflowers is up there. It's getting there, right? You know, your cotton's still really good. And grass silage. That's another really interesting one too here on this, is grass silage actually is pretty good. And if you've got the right equipment, you cut it and bale it, wrap it all at the same time, and then just come back and collect it. So I really think you can make some really, really good money on the outskirts, the edges of your fields that have grass on them, right? It's free. And most people have it on every single field and every map that you do. So I would definitely take advantage of that, unless you don't want the big investment. But I don't think it would take very long to make your money back on grass silage. So this is it. Like I said, this is the high cost. But let's go ahead and jump over here to silty clay and the average on it. So here we go. This is silty clay. And once again, as you can see, corn silage is king on this one by about $2,000. You can see the increase here from the last loamy sand up to silty clay. It's pretty decent, but soybeans is still down there underneath wheat, oat, and barley. So that straw is still helping. It definitely is. And it's really interesting how you can see like groups here, right? You've got corn, canola, sunflowers, and soybeans that are all kind of right there together. I mean, there's only $400 spread. And these are all average prices based on what I had, my 10-day average. So if you get a little bit different average, then any of those crops right there are all going to be really, really close together. And then you've got, your wheat, oats, and barley that are all right there together, about, $1,000, a little bit more than that per acre, more. And then you've got your next group, which is, your potatoes, cotton, and your grass silage. And you could really throw sugar beets in there too. And that's a crop I didn't mention before. Sugar beets is actually a really good crop. You plant it, you come back, harvest it. As long as you got the good harvester and you're not having to use a small little bitty 2-meter harvester or 3-meter harvester, and you can use the big one, the Pterodos, why not? It's a great crop. It's very profitable. So yeah, that's this one. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the high price. So that's this one. Sugarcane actually jumps ahead here by only a little bit over $100, but it does. So as you get up a little bit, you can start to see that, these high prices and these higher yields start to make that little bit more of a difference. And, your potatoes actually jump above sugar beets. Now we know potatoes are absolutely no fun, but if you're playing on a map that has a harvester that, you can use a good potato harvester instead of like a 9,000 liter or 10,000 liter, whatever the base game one is, it becomes a viable crop, also a profitable crop. I mean, if you compare potatoes to soybeans, right? Soybeans is 64.50 and potatoes is 11,960. I mean, you're talking almost double your profit on potatoes as soybeans. So get a good harvester and you can really rock out on those. So let's go ahead and jump here to sandy loam. So sandy loam, this is average prices again, and you can see once again corn silage is king, and it's about $2,000 again. And then you jump down to sugar beets, about $5,500 right there, and then grass silage up there again at the top. But if you look again, your oats, wheat, and barley are above your soybeans because of the straw. So, I mean, I don't know. I was always told that soybeans rock on them, right? Just rock. I mean, you're not going to have to put any fertilizer down if you're using precision farming, but even without fertilizer cost, it's not anything, right? Because your fertilizer costs are so low using precision farming that it just makes sense, right, to do the other ones. To me it does. I mean, I would rather, do oats, wheat, or barley and make, $1,500 more per acre than soybeans. I mean, the fields that I play on are really big fields, right? Even medium to big size. Unless you don't want to have to come back and collect or bale, then yeah. But if you're running seasons and you have the time to be able to collect afterwards, or you're running multiple pieces of equipment, workers and things, and you have the time to be able to come back and collect, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to collect that straw. It's, I won't say free, but it's just going to help give you that much more profit over soybeans. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the high prices for sandy loam, and you can see here sugarcane jumps back up, but jumps back up again. Potatoes and sugar beets are up there still. Grass silage is there, and you go all the way down. So this is it, just for your reference. Nothing crazy here. Now let's jump over to loam, the absolute best soil type that you can have in precision farming, right here. And corn silage once again, but here it's only about $1,000, $1,200 is what the difference is. So it definitely brings it in a little bit more, but you still, it's just the seed cost, it's so high. But you can see all the way down, your straw crops are still higher than your soybean. I mean, it's going to be consistent all the way through. And if we look here at the high, you can see that sugarcane has jumped back up, and it's about $2,000 the other way. So if you want to hang on to your crops and really try and get that high price, that best price, it's a gamble, but it's not too far crazy off the others, right? And what I mean by that is, I think if you're above that average price, in between the average price and this best price, anywhere in between there is going to be decent to sell at, right? I mean, like midpoint. And yeah, it's you know, if it was me, and I'm going to look at this from a point of having workers where they're going to be doing the work for me. Um, I'm going to be looking at a lot of different crops now. I really, really am. Um, Not that I want to get away from the other stuff, but I am definitely going to be looking at potatoes and sugar beets as a lot more profitable. I mean, even at this right here, right? If I'm on loam, I've got a full loam field, and I hang on to my crop until it's absolutely best price. I mean, I'm almost doubling my profit if I do sugar beets or potatoes. You look at $9,000 on soybeans compared to 16.6 and 17.1 for sugar beets and potatoes. I mean, soybeans 19.12. That's a better price than everything else that I've ever seen before. Um, I I found that around 18.25 was probably the best price that I found before, um, and this is better than that, and it's still only $9,000. And potatoes and sugar beets, potatoes at 428, that's a little bit higher too, by about $20. And then sugar beets, 286 is what I had before, and we're at 278 right now. So I think if you maybe wait a little bit longer on sugar beets, you could even get a better price than that and get it a lot bigger of a profit. So, I mean, grass silage too. It's going to be a great way to go, as long as you bale it, right? I don't think you want to put it in a clamp and store it like that. It's going to take a while to build up, but I think if you can make bales and then come back and collect them like that. And then we got to, I mean, the other thing, I guess, maybe not that, we do have a mower that is attached to the front end of a collecting wagon now as a mod available for the console, everyone in Mod Hub. So you could just drive around your farm, collect all that stuff, put it into a bunker silo, and let it ferment, and then take all that right over to BGA. And then if you're on a map that you have digestate, I mean, you're going to be able to sell digestate too. And if not, then you can use it as fertilizer, and it's going to be free for you, and you can reduce the cost of some of these other things that have fertilizer cost. So, I mean, there's so many things. I know that there's many ways that you can get very, very low cost fertilizers also. So don't take this as this is how much it's going to cost you no matter what. This is just based on the economic analysis. And I use that because it was consistent all the way across, right? Everything at the same fertilizer, and it was all the same analysis. So we just ran with that. But there are ways to get really cheap or free fertilizers. I made a video on that also, showing that off. So if that's a strategy you want to use, then you won't even have those fertilizer costs there, and you can add that over to the right-hand side column, right? So say on the very top one, if you are doing sugarcane, right, $30,000 and $15. But if you fertilize it the way that I showed you in the last video, you can take 340 that, bring it back over, and then you're at $30,355. Okay, and your seed costs. If you have seeds left over from your last harvest, well, you can bring that over too, right? You didn't make the profit on that last one of what you're seeing here, but now it's free for this one, right? And if you use it again and you don't sell it, then you just subtract down. So, I mean, there's a little bit more math that you can do going into this, but this is a really, really good base, I feel like, to be able to help you determine what is going to be a good crop and roughly about how much you're going to profit per acre doing this with precision farming. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Or if you learned something, go and give me a thumbs up if you would. If you want to be kept up to date on all my latest precision farming videos, think about hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, hit the notification bell too. Have a great day, everybody. Until next time, this is Driver 53, signing off.